Yo, what's up, peace, man? It's your boy King. NBA 2K21, next gen, of course. And today we're gonna get into the courtside blog report. You know, the courtside report number 2. It's a lot of interesting stuff here, man. So let's go ahead and get on into it. Next gen movement. So next gen movement. You know, this is their take on basically. Smoothing out, like, and giving you much more control over where you go on the court. You know, the momentum and basically everything got to do with the locomotion system. You know, the one that they changed in NBA 2K18 down and up until now, which is absolutely terrible. One of the worst decisions they could have possibly made was to switch out that locomotion system. And in my opinion, it's absolutely ridiculous that they would even go in a direction like that just to please casual fans, like, who don't watch basketball, who don't really give a shit about basketball in the first place. So, you know, this is what they say, the next gen movement system. So next up is gonna be dribble movement. And dribble movement basically is like, you know, they say they built ball handle. The dribbling ball handle was built from the ground up for next gen, and they do say that a lot, you know, when in reality minor changes was made to it. And, you know, the difference is night and day. Protect and post movement saw a massive upgrade. Let me see, it's much easier to go exactly where you want on the floor. This is interesting, going exactly where you want to go on the floor in the manner that you expect to get there. So basically no unwanted turns, like no weird slowdowns or speed boosts. Is just the movement system here is supposed, along with the dribble system and stuff, is supposed to make sure movement is as smooth as it's gonna get. And I think that's pretty damn cool if they can implement that. So let's get into the next one, man, which is defense and off ball. So basically what this is about when you're running plays and you're trying to get over screens and you're trying to set screens to get men open and stuff like that. That's going to play out a hell of a lot more realistic without a lot of fucking smoothness, breaks in the smoothness. It's supposed to be basically what they're trying to do with next gen is make everything, you know, streamlined with weight detection, so it hits different with what screens that you run into, like what players that are coming off the cuts. Basically if it's a Donovan Mitchell running off of a pin down or something like that, it's going to be much faster, because that was something that they don't talk about. Like, they don't like the off ball speed in the half court. There's not enough difference there. There's not enough difference with that at all, man. So I'm so glad that they're improving this. You know, bigs are out here moving like bigs, they say. So I'd really like that, because in the half court, just like what I was saying, in the half court, there's no real difference between a big and a small. Like, because the big can still make the same kind of cuts a small guy can make. You know, bigs typically, unless you have an athletic one, are kind of like kind of lumbery, man. Like, they kind of stumble around. Like, you just look at a guy like Jokic, man. Like Jokic, like him out there trying to guard a guard on the perimeter, he's gonna absolutely get smoked. But that's not the case in NBA. The previous NBA 2Ks, he can recover and get a good shot contest. You know, so let's get into the next one, man. Foot planting. So basically what this is the same thing that they've been telling us every year. Basically they're trying, and honestly, they do make improvements when they can, except for the past 3 2K iterations, which this locomotion system that they added in is trash. Like, it does not mimic basketball at all. But basically they're giving you the option to take procedural steps, which is basically tiny steps and stuff to get into place, and micro adjustments, you know, proper foot plan. This is nothing new to us, man. We've been talking about this shit for years. This is something we've been asking for years, man. So let's go ahead and get into the next one, which is body ups, man. So body ups is pretty interesting. So what that allows, along with the foot planting, so what that allows for is angles to matter a hell of a lot more. So when you run directly into players and stuff like that, when you run directly into people, you bounce off them. If you get the angle on them, if you have a faster guy or a stronger guy, the animations are gonna dictate that. And also it's gonna matter what defender you're doing this with. So if I have D'Angelo Russell defending LeBron James, and LeBron James runs directly into me, D'Angelo Russell should bounce off of LeBron James, right? Which is what they're basically saying will happen. But if LeBron James gets a small angle on D'Angelo Russell, he'll probably be able to muscle through and move him out of the way, you know, and get a path to the basket. He won't have to take a wide pass because he's much stronger than D'Angelo Russell. But on the flip side, if D'Angelo Russell was trying to drive past, say, Kawhi Leonard, then even if D'Angelo Russell gets an angle on him, he would have an entirely different hip ride animation, and it would feel entirely different with Kawhi Leonard on your hip than it would with, say, I don't know, Damian Lillard on D'Angelo Russell's hip. Those are two completely different defenders. One is much stronger than the other, and it should feel different, because in real life it is much different when you get an angle on somebody and you get a good defender that's stronger than you on your hip. He can kind of dictate where you're going, but on the flip side, bigs, and which was also mentioned in this portion of the article, is a slow-footed big that gets too aggressive with you and loses out on the angle. You get blow-bys on those guys, so that's going to create a situation where you can really, really, really take advantage of mismatches. So what's been done in previous with NBA 2K and 2K19, they did it to the extreme. There was no such thing as a mismatch in NBA 2K19. Everybody defended like Kawhi Leonard. In NBA 2K18 and NBA 2K20, it was much too easy to get past people. It didn't matter what your angle was, and none of that mattered. Like, you just, if you weren't a lockdown defender, you weren't gonna, you as a ball handler, you were not to be stopped. So I'm glad that they're improving on that, and that should really be something. But the foundation is foot planting. So let's get into the next one, man, which is off ball contact. So basically what they're explaining here is it's supposed to be just like the body up with the ball handler and the defender and angles and stuff mattering. Well, that's how it is with the off ball contact. So basically what they're saying here is screens is one of the most important things that they did. That's really the only thing that I've seen in here that I like. It's the screens. Like, there's supposedly no more suction screens. They don't suck you in the screens. They have animations that make sense for the situation. If you cleanly get over a screen, then you cleanly get over a screen. If you hit the screen, you hit the screen. And that's pretty much what I've been waiting for, and what I've thought should have been in the game for a while, but apparently the technology just wasn't there, and it's all supposed to look very smooth, like hard collisions, freedom of movement. Like, this is gonna probably do wonders for play calling, because honestly, the previous years everything after NBA 2K16 play calling, it's been a nightmare, because you had so much contact on the perimeter, which honestly should have been fouls, that it's hard for players to get around and get to spots to even run the play, because there's so much contact going on the court. So this should do wonders for that, again, if it's actually it works good in practice. So the impact engine. This is basically their new collision system, and I'm not gonna lie, guys, this is looking nice. If they can follow through with this, man, and give us and deliver on it, this is gonna be some really, really nice shit, man. So basically, what they're saying is you don't get sucked into animations. They have a new in-air collision system, so you don't have to force the animation on the ground and force animations with forced outcomes and stuff like that. You can actually get in position on defense and then get an in-air collision, and that's going to be much more dynamic than it would on the ground, because like, you going to the rim for a layup or a dunk, that shouldn't be predetermined when you're still on the ground. Like, you see it all the time in 2K, dude. Like, you get a layup animation that you never wanted. You see a guy get into a two-man animation from like 10 virtual feet away, and pull you into an entire animation that you had no control over, and that dude's 10 feet away. I've started seeing this in NBA 2K16. So this is what they're basically improving on with the what was this called again? Impact engine, their collision system, man. So now you can freely move your players into position, just so long as you're not already in contact, and I think that's pretty goddamn sweet. So let's get into the last one, man, which is, to me, one of the most interesting things, because it's completely new, and that's the PS5 trigger effect. So of course this is gonna only like pertain to the people who's getting a PS5 or who will play this on PS5, and it's actually quite ridiculous, man. So what they claim, right, and I have no reason to believe that it won't be a thing, just as long as Sony gets the technology down. But so the haptic engine in the PS5 controller basically is I could be wrong, but I was told that it's magnetized, right? So basically they create a situation where you can feel the direction. They can jolt the controller in the exact direction, and I'm gonna get into the triggers in a minute, but they could jolt the controller into an entire direction that's dependent on the game. So say if I'm dribbling the ball with the right hand, they can kind of jolt the controller to the right to simulate movement in my right hand, right? Like, and with the triggers, they can either stop you from pressing that trigger, or they can make it harder. And it's just all this whole different slider of what they can do. Like it's gonna be easy to press all the way down to impossible to press, all because of the magnetic technology that they got in there. I forgot, I watched a few videos on it, but it was so much information so rapidly that I missed some of it, so I have to go back and check it out. But basically, that if you push it, you can get. So basically what 2K is saying here is that you can pull the trigger down. Say if you're posting up a guy, right, and he's much stronger than you, they can stop you from pulling that trigger down completely, right? You won't. It says up here that it'll be much harder to pull it down, but that shit, they can make that damn near impossible to pull it down without breaking your controller, you know. And the same thing with fatigue. So when you get tired as a player that's running and you're exhausting like energy and stuff like that, like the right trigger gets harder and harder to push the more fatigued that you become. And I believe that's fucking great. I believe that's really great. And that would be the first step to stopping people from abusing the fucking turbo. Because like if you get tired to a point to where it's really hard to pull that right trigger down and run, like I mean really, really hard, to where it's just to run, it's very discomforting because you don't have the stamina, that will force people to play in a way to where they conserve ammo and they won't be sprinting all over the goddamn court, you know. And of course reaching and stealing and stuff, if you have the right actions on the court, take away stamina, people are going to be really mindful, and you won't have shit like steal spam, you won't have dribble spam and stuff like that, all because that right trigger will be really hard to pull down and you really won't be able to sprint. Because it sounds fucking crazy, like it sounds absolutely crazy, and I'm really, and then because that's why it feels like I'm all over the place, because this is completely new to me. Like this is I still don't believe this. This is ridiculous. Like you asked me this with some shit like this being a game 5 years ago, I would have never believed you. But anyway, man, that's pretty much all I got for you all today, man. I just want to break it down for you, man, and because I was supposed to do this a couple days ago, but I just want to break it on down for you, man, for my sim guys out there, man. But anyway, man, peace out, peace, man. It's been your boy King. Later.